Hey guys, Andy here from Mediocre Hobbies, bringing you the first battle report on the channel. This will be Mission 0, the prologue to the MH365 campaign. So for most of the campaign battles, it will be myself and of course Dave from the Golden Chin.
How's it going, folks?
And we were the ones taking command of the armies for the beginning of the campaign anyway, until we can wrangle in some more brave fighters to participate in our battle reports.
Some unlucky souls.
Some lucky, unlucky souls. Yeah, we'll hold raffles and stuff, but it'll be like Hunger Games more than. I don't know if anyone will stand in as tribune, but we'll see what happens. So yeah, the first game will be the Astra Militarum led by Severine Rain, fighting against
the Night Lords.
The Night Lords. So yeah, they will fight across a ruined city that we have set up here for you guys. It's going to be a fun battle report, and bear with us, there will be some growing pains and some learning pains as we figure out how this works. Any comments or criticism is always more than welcome, and if you drop them in the comments below, we'll get back to each and every one of you with what we think of your suggestions, and hopefully we can implement a few of them and make it better and better as we go through the series. So stick around, we'll come back to you guys in a minute with the armies deployed. And before we get into today's battle, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank two companies which supported me and supported the channel in getting battle reports off the ground, and that is Deep Cut Studios, who provided the map for today's battle, and of course Urban Mats, who provided the scenery that's on the table here today. So thank you very much to both of those two companies. I'll put links to them below. You should check them out and see the absolutely fantastic products that they have available to get you guys playing games quickly, easily, and affordable. Okay, so Severine Rain has made it to the battlefield with the remnant of her Krieg force. At the start of this campaign, she commanded tens of thousands of troops, and it has come down to the ragtag band that she now leads. So what I've done here is I've deployed a ragged line of infantry. So I have 4 10-man infantry squads of Krieg trying to hold the line, trying to reach out and secure the objective, which is of course the last imperial site left on the planet, the glorious statue of the saint. She has managed to bring with her a pair of artillery Earthshaker cannons, apologies, and hopefully they can rain down hell upon the enemy. Trusty Lehman Russ, Lucky 211, has survived the entire campaign thus far and has brought countless chaos people to their deaths, so that is also here. And of course Severine Rain is in the midst of all of her troops. She has a couple of units off the table at the minute, some strategic reserves. 3 units currently are not on the table, and I'm very excited to bring those in later in the game and show you what they are. So the mission that we're playing currently is basically the relic, except we're playing the relic as the statue that you cannot move. Whoever holds the relic at the end of the table wins 60 victory points and secures an overall victory in this game. So let's get into it.
Okay, so we return to the Night Lords having landed on the city. The claws have descended from on high from the battle barges, reaping and ruining as they make their way through the city, converging on the last symbol of imperial faith left on the world. Their intention to burn it to the ground and prove that their emperor is a false one. Now, what I've done here is I've set up my Havocs, so they've got clear lines of sight across the plaza, ready to start ratcheting down fire on the Imperial Guard, keep their heads down. While the 2 squads of Chaos Space Marines are going to run straight for the objective and try and tear it down, planting the various crack and melta charges to burn the thing to a heap of slag, all under the watchful eye of the Warpsmith leading the expedition with his little pet venom crawler beside him that is eager to test out on the men of Krieg. So let's see what they can do.
So for the beginning of the game, we're going to roll off for see who gets first turn. So it looks like Krieg will indeed have first turn. Okay, so I don't have anything to do in my command phase, so I'm going to go straight into my movement phase. As it stands, I'm kind of wary about the amount of firepower that the Night Lord's force can pull to bear, especially those havocs up in the building, and basically the amount of firepower that each squad has. So I'm going to be playing to my strengths, playing in some of the runes. I'm going to advance the squad up the left-hand side, but the rest of the squads are going to kind of stay back a little bit or try and find some cover. Okay, so this is the movement phase as it stands. Infantry squad has gone up to block the path here, defend the artillery guns. This squad is moving up through the runes on the left, and the other guys have basically taken up a static position. So now it's time to move on to the shooting phase, and I'm going to start with Earthshakers 1 and 2.
Someone call for an Earthshaker?
Debating whether it should be the Havocs or whether it should be one of the infantry squads, but I think I'm going to fire the first one off at the Havocs, try and tear some of them out of the game before their las cannons can be brought to bear back against the artillery guns. So let's start with that. So what I'm going to do first is roll my 2d6 to see how many shots I fired, picking the highest. So 4 shots is what I've got. It's going to require 4s to hit. A little cock, try again. So we've managed 3 smashing hits against the Havocs, and each one of those hits is strength 9, so it's going to require 2s to hurt the Havocs. So that's 3 wounds on the Havocs. Okay, having remembered that of course Havocs are toughness 5, and we had to go back and check our dice rolls, and they are still a 6 and 2 3s, so the Havocs are still wounded with all 3 of the damages. So it's up to Dave to take his saves. It's -3 to his armor, which would bring him to a 6 up, but of course he's in cover, so that brings it to a 5 up. Let's see if he can save any of his Havocs.
Come on, power armor.
Ooh, he manages to save 2 of his guys, which means only 1 Havoc takes the full brunt of the round, and the damage that will inflict on him will be 2, so will kill a Havoc. Now it's time for Earthshaker number 2. This time I'm going to target one of the Night Lord's infantry squads, the full 10-man squads in the center of the board. So 2d6 shots, picking the highest result, so of course will be 4. Let's see what we get for hits. 3 hits again, that's fantastic. Now these Marines are in fact toughness 4, so it will be 2s to wound them. So 2 of them have gone through. That means Dave needs to take 2 saves. These guys are not in cover, so it will be a 6 up save.
Let's see if I do it as well again this time.
Fortunately not. That will mean that 2 of his brave Chaos Space Marines will be blown to pieces by that Earthshaker cannon.
Delightful.
Okay, with the success of the Earthshaker cannon, it's time to move over to Lucky 211, which is the Vanquisher in my army. So we're going to roll to see if the main cannon, which is targeting the Venom Crawler on the other side of the table through those runes, can find its mark and hit. So on a 4+, no, the shot tears off wild and misses. So that'll mean that it will go down to the Heavy Bolter and the Pintle Mounted Heavy Stubber, and we're going to pop off a couple of shots at some Marines. I'll let you know if anything happens from that. So 211's Heavy Stubber did actually manage to tear down a Chosen, so that was good shooting on that guy. I've also checked very quickly for all of the las guns in the army, and as you can see they are all out of range, so that will bring my shooting phase to an end and bring also an end to my turn. So it's time for Chaos Turn 1.
Okay, so Night Lord's first turn 1, we've weathered the initial bombardment from the Imperial lines. Now it's time for us to get to work. I have nothing to do in my command phase at the moment. Unfortunately, I am down 1 heavy weapon from my Havocs, so I'm going to have to try and start stripping down some of those long-range bombardments from the Earthshaker cannons. So what I'm going to have my squads do is advance at full speed across the square, bombing it over towards the objective to try and claim it and secure it early, and then make the Imperial Guard have to come to me and try and take it off me, basically. So we'll come back in a second after all that happens. Okay, so what we've had is the Chaos Space Marines have moved up the flank here to try and come in and pin the Imperial Guard down on one side, while the main thrust of the force is charging full speed across the square.
On our way!
The Venom Crawler has clambered its way, skittering across all the terrain, and the Lord is just lurking behind it, waiting to see what his pet is going to do. Spoiler alert, probably going to make red mincemeat out of all these guardsmen. Up here now we're going to move on to the shooting phase, and I'm going to start off with the Havocs zeroing in on hopefully not so lucky 212 to try and take it out of the game. Las cannon shots. So there's 2 las cannons on the squad, so both of them draw a bead on the machine, hitting on 3s, so 2 glorious hits, and wounding on 4s, I believe. No, sorry, running on 3s because Lehman Russ is still toughness 8. So 1 wound on the Lehman Russ, which does actually manage to go through its armor.
Lucky 2-1-1, sure.
How much damage are we going to do to that Lehman Russ? 6 mighty wounds straight to the Imperial War Machine. Fantastic.
Not what I wanted to see.
I think some fool just shot at us.
And of course we can't forget about the Reaper chain gun in the squad. So this spins up and starts firing out a massive blistering rate of fire into the Imperial Guard squad standing beside the Lehman Russ. So with 8 shots fired out, unfortunately 3 of them do miss, but 5 of them find their mark in Imperial Guard flesh. One shot has gone a bit wild. Let's reroll that. And at strength 5 and -1 to their armor, that is going to be 5 wounded guardsmen.
Oh, can we take some saves and keep any of our guardsmen alive? 2 glorious guardsmen have been left alive, but that does unfortunately mean 3 of them have been killed.
So, with the Havoc's now complete, we're going to move on to this squad, this claw here.
I heard you the first time.
So unfortunately, because this is a close combat kind of kitted out squad, most of them are going to be out of range with their weaponry, but the guy at the back lugging along with the heavy Reaper cannon and one of the guys wielding his bolter are going to be in range. So I'm going to start off with the bolter firing a single shot at the same squad of guardsmen, which unfortunately does manage to miss. And then the Reaper autocannon, because he's lugging this heavy weapon, he's going to be at -1 to hit, and unfortunately that means that both shots do go wild. The other squad on the right hand side advanced as they were moving up, so they're not going to be able to shoot. So we're going to move on to the Venom Crawler, targeting the Imperial Guard in the ruins just to its right hand side. So the Venom Crawler skitters around the corner and levels both its Excruciator cannons at the squad of Imperial Guardsmen. So both these fire 2 D3 shots apiece. So that is going to be 5 shots in total. These are going to be hitting on 4s. So we've got 3 hits. Because of the strength of the shots, at strength 8, they are going to be wounding the guardsmen on 2s.
Oh.
And these, unfortunately, have -2 to their rend, so that's going to be 2 Imperial guardsmen shot straight through, unless the cover can save them.
So, I do believe I get some cover being in these runes, so that will make these guardsmen have a 6-up save. Let's see if I can save any of them. I do actually manage to save 1 lucky guardsman, but 2 of them have become liquid.
Taking hits!
Okay, so the last thing I can do this turn is actually try and charge the Venom Crawler into the ruins and get him stuck into the Imperial Guard lines. So I've done a quick check, and it looks like it's going to be about a 10-inch charge for the Venom Crawler to actually make it into the Imperial Guard. So let's see what he can do.
Why aren't we killing it?
I kind of had a fear that was going to happen. So unfortunately, it looks like I'm not going to be quite making it into the Imperial Guard lines, and that ends my first turn.
So at the end of Dave's turn, I have to, of course, take my morale checks. So this is the only squad that has taken casualties, and it has taken 3. So 3 plus a d6, that brings that total to 5. With my leadership of 7, I am A-okay.
Thought they broke our backs. Ha!
Okay, so turn 1 was a relative success for me. I've only lost 3 guardsmen, and in return we have dropped one of his Havocs and 2 Marines out of another squad and one of the Chosen. So as goes the game so far, I believe guardsmen have a little bit on the up. So what we're going to do now is bring finally the las guns to bear. You may laugh at the humble las gun, but there's nearly 40 of them on the table. That's bound to do some damage, and they're now finally in range. So I'm going to move some guardsmen into some better positions, and then I also have something a little bit extra special to be setting up from my reinforcements. So we'll bring that back in a minute. So the Krieg forces have moved forward through some ruins. The infantry squad has moved up here to get into las fire range with the squad of Chaos Space Marines. Lucky 211 has advanced slightly just to support the infantry units around it, and the other infantry units have moved up with Severine Rain, just kind of moving more towards the objective. Hopefully that will be useful later in the game. And the sneaky squad that was moving through these rooms have positioned themselves here, which should mean they should get a clear line of sight through the doorway and hopefully take a couple of wounds off the Chaos Lord. Obviously the immobile Earthshaker batteries haven't moved 1 inch. But then we've also brought in our extra unit, which is
Take us to these
a full
coordinates.
squad of combat engineers brought in with a haze breaching drill. So I can't wait to see what these guys do when they open up with their shotguns And then when they get a little bit closer in the next turn, there will be another little surprise in store. So let's hope that works out to my advantage. So I'm going to go straight into my shooting phase, and I'm going to open up once again with a barrage from the Earthshaker cannons onto the Havocs on top of that building. Their heavy firepower still scares my Earthshaker cannons, and of course 211 does not want to be shot again. So let's see what we can do about them. So first Earthshaker cannon to see number of shots, and I get a nice 5 this time. So let's see how many of those shots actually find their mark. 3 of them find their mark, which I will take. And then, like we discussed in the last turn, these are toughness 5, so it will be 3s to wound them. So 1 not, and 2 have indeed found their mark on the Havocs. So let's see if Dave can save them with some 6-up saves.
Let's see what happens.
1 yes,
Ooh,
1 no.
alive. Now I have to make some tough choices. Who's going to bite the proverbial bullet? I think at this stage I need to start sacrificing. The chain cannon is going to get blasted apart, because I need to keep those las cannons ideally in the fight.
The second Earthshaker cannon will try and soften up the basically the Chaos Infantry squad in the middle of the table. So once again, determine number of shots. 4. See if I manage to hit with any of them. 3, I will take that. And like we discussed, these guys are only toughness 4, so these will wound on 2s, providing absolutely no save, I don't think.
Unfortunately, in this case, I think that's going to crack straight through the Space Marines armor, and that's going to be 2 more.
Of course, double check there, and of course they get a 6-up save, so we're going to quickly roll those to see if the Chaos Marines will survive. And one of them does.
What do you know? One of them stands back up. Maybe he was a Necron in a past life. I don't know.
I'll be back.
Okay, lucky 211's going to fire up his Vanquisher cannon again at the Venom Crawler. Unfortunately, this time it's belching smoke, and it's heavily wounded from taking that shot, so it's 6 wounds taken off of it, which means it's going to require a 5 or 6 to hit the cannon. And of course, when it's wounded, that is when it hits. Typical. So the Vanquisher cannon is strength 8, so let's see if it can punch through the light skin of the Venom Crawler. Anyway.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Okay, now we're going to get into it with the las guns and see if they can do any damage like I promised you at the start of the turn. So we're going to start with the sneaky squad in the building, firing off through the doorway at the Warpsmith. So we got 7 las guns, of which 5 hit. Can they do any damage? They're requiring 5s. Yes, they can. 3 wounds on the Warpsmith. Of course, he does have a 2-up save, and las guns do not take anything away from that. So let's see if they can cause any damage to him.
So let's see how that Warp-Forged armor holds up.
And it holds up pretty good.
Totally fine, shrugs it all off.
As he shrugs, he hears a precarious thunk as the grenade launcher in the squad fires off its round, finds its mark, does indeed manage to wound. It still doesn't have any minus, so it's 2. Yes, indeed. Grenade launcher always does its job. Beautiful. The next squad is all in range of the Chaos Chosen. So this crew squad has 10 las guns. I know Sergeant is supposed to have a las pistol and chainsword, but these models are all modelled with las guns, so I'm going to fire them with las guns. So let's see how many of them are hits. So we got a couple of misses, a couple more than a couple unfortunately, but let's see if they can do any damage. And they do 1. Can the Chaos Space Marine shrug off the last gun round, or will we drop another Chosen?
Let's find out. No, 1 more Chosen finds the weak joint in the armor, and straight down he goes.
So now it's that time that I've been looking forward to. The combat engineers, which have come in using the drill, are now going to open fire with their combat shotguns at this squad of Chaos Space Marines. So I originally thought that these shotguns were Assault 2 weapons. Unfortunately, I was mistaken. They're Assault 3, and engineers have Ballistic Skill 3 as well. So let's see what happens. I don't actually have enough Krieg dice to roll all of them, so I'm going to do 2 batches of 15. So, first batch, they missed 2. So that's 13 hits. Let's roll the second batch of dice. Oh, they missed a couple more that time. I got too cocky with my smart assness.
A little bit.
So we hit 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 hits. So 15, 19, I'll roll the other 4 in a moment. So it's 4 is to wound. So it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 wounds so far. And the other 4, which I didn't have enough dice for, cause another 2. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 wounds the engineers have caused with their combat shotguns. Let's see how many Chaos Space Marines that will tear down.
I don't think I have enough dice. Right, let's see if the Dark Gods smile at me today.
Yes!
That's not actually too bad, yeah.
So the engineers take down 2 Chaos Space Marines.
So 2 failed, I'll take that.
So that comes to the end of my turn 2. I would once again consider that to be quite a successful turn. I've taken a number of Chaos Space Marines off the board, which has made me quite happy. The engineers have come in. That's the first time I've ever had that unit deployed on the table, and seeing the amount of shotgun shells shot off made me extremely happy and did do some damage, so I'm delighted with that. Unfortunately, I haven't caused enough wounds with any of the squads to need Dave to take any morale checks, so we don't need to show you that on camera. And now it's time to move on to Chaos turn 2.
Okay, so onto my second turn. So unfortunately, the Warpsmith has clearly underestimated the sheer metal and grit of the Imperial Guard troops. The Krieg have started putting a bit of a hurt on them. The chosen squad has been cut down to only 2 men, and the sheer volume of shotgun shells coming from those engineers a second ago, he's starting to doubt his resolve, and thinking back to the fact that this mission was given to him by Abaddon himself. He links with the battle barge above, and with a cry of
Ave Dominus Nox,
calls down the Terminators of the Atramentar. So I'm going to have to bring on my reinforcements here to really try and put the hurt on the Imperial Guard this turn.
we must kill!
Okay, so the Chaos Space Marine squad over here has moved its attention to the Engineer squad. Obviously, that salvo of shotgun shells needs a reply. Over here, the other squad has surged up the center, pumping full speed to try and get to grips with the Imperial Guard. But of course, the big star of the show, the Atramentar, the bodyguard of the Night Lord Legion, have deployed in the center of the square, ready to wreak bloody havoc amongst the Imperial Guardsmen. But over here, the Warpsmith has let his Venom Crawler off the leash. It is now scuttling through the ruins to get to grips with the Imperial Guard squad. And of course, he can't let them have all the fun. He's going to stride in and lay about himself as Warp Forged axe.
Slaughter them all!
So let's move on, I suppose, to the shooting phase of the next thing. And I'm going to see if I can finally take down old Lucky 1211. Fingers crossed. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the Havocs. So they're again going to train their sights on Lucky 211. But I'm also going to burn the Stratagem Veterans of the Long War, so they can call on their reserves of knowledge from the Long War with the Imperium and really try and put the hurt on the Imperial war machine. So we've got our 2 shots. One of the attacks manages to hit. Now it's going to be winning on 3s, but thanks to the reserve rolls, I would have got a reroll if I needed it, but the hit does go through. So that's going to be -3 to the Imperial war machine's armor.
Let's see if I can save it. And I do not.
2, 3, 4. Yeah,
I think
saves
the
it.
Lucky 211's luck has finally managed to click in, and it has in fact saved itself from that last cannon shot.
Not ideal. Okay, so then moving over to this squad here, they're going to draw their pistols as they charge forward to them, getting ready to vault over the cover, and they're going to start firing off some shots to try and whittle down the numbers. So the first 5 shots from the bolt pistols, not the worst. So we've got 4 hits. Let's see if we manage to do any damage. Only 1 manages to actually wound the guardsman.
And I think it does indeed drop. A combat engineer has been removed.
One of the combat engineers goes down. We then start firing off with the remaining weapons in the squad, the heavier weapons. So the big Chaos Space Marine in the back, lugging the heavy bolter, fires off 3 shots. Only 1 of them manages to hit, and it does manage to wound, which should blast a guardsman straight off his feet.
Yes, it does. Removed another combat engineer.
So all that's left now is the champion, who has his plasma pistol. So I am going to fire it. I don't feel lucky enough to fire it overheated, but I am going to fire a shot off just to see if I can vaporize one. And I am very glad I did not overcharge that plasma pistol shot. So we're going to move over to the Venom Crawler now. So again, clawing its way through the ruins, tearing them apart to get at the squad. It charges up its eviscerator guns and starts firing off its shots. So it's 2d3 shots from these. So we're only getting 2 shots, unfortunately. Hitting on 4s, 1 shot finds its mark, but on a 2, it's going to liquefy one of these Imperial Guardsmen. So So that is one guardsman liquefied.
Where's our fire support?
Of course, not to be outdone by his pet, the warpsmith bashes his way in with tendrils of his mecha tendrils flailing around, and is going to start laying about himself with his other various weapons. So he bashes in first with a shot from his plasma pistol. I've learned not to overcharge these, so it does manage to hit, and that is going to manage to vaporize another guardsman.
Disaster.
But he's not done there yet. He's also, of course, carrying a meltagun and a flamethrower. So we'll fire off the meltagun first, which finds the shot. The guardsman's not so much dead, he's just gone.
Oh no!
And then hopefully we'll be able to finish this off with a burst from the flamethrower. 2 shots is not going to be quite enough to get rid of the guardsman squad, but it should put a dent in their numbers. It does manage to wound one of them, however, they will get a save on this one.
Oh yes. Lucky Krieg dies, saves the day.
Okay, so now, of course, saving the best for last, I hope, we're moving on to the Atron Mentor. So, they sight their targets on the biggest, baddest threat on the battlefield they can see, which is, of course, Lucky 211. So we're going to start off with the heavy weapons from the combi bolters firing in. So we've got a combi melta and a combi plasma firing in. So I'm going to fire off the shot from the combi plasma. So 2 shots from that, both of which hit. One of which does manage to do some damage.
Let's see if I can save out the armor. I do not.
It's going to do D3 wounds. So it only does 1 point of damage.
Put another point of damage on 0211.
Of course, not to be outdone, they follow up with a shot from the meltagun, which, I'll reroll that, does manage to hit, and does manage to go through the armor. -3 to the armor save.
Let's have a look, see. I think I actually managed to save that, yeah.
Yep, the armor of the Lehman Russ holds.
The new 2-up save on the Lehman Russ really showing its worth.
And then the last thing is going to be the Reaper autocannon, so 2 shots from the autocannon. One of them finds its mark, and does not manage to do any damage to it, unfortunately. So, oh no, sorry, a 5 does. Apologies.
See if my armor can save me once again. And it does. I'm starting to like the thick armor plates on the new Lehman Russ here.
Okay, so we're moving on to the charge phase now. So we're going to start off over here with this squad of Chaos Space Marines, and hopefully they're going to be able to hurdle the bit of rubble there and get to grips with those juicy, juicy guardsmen. Can they make it across? Ooh, 5 inches. I don't think that's going to be enough. No, unfortunately it's a failed charge, so the Space Marines are not actually going to make it to those engineers just yet. And this squad in here is going to try and sneak their way between the Terminators and the Ruins and make their way to this squad of Guardsmen. Unfortunately, a 4 is not going to be nearly enough. They needed a 10-inch charge, so that's another squad stranded in the middle of no man's land under the Krieg guns. But at this stage, I need to get rid of that tank, and the only way I can really get rid of it now is by getting those Terminators stuck in. So let's see if they manage to make the charge, and with a massive 11-inch charge, they're going to smash full speed into maybe not so lucky 211.
Yes!
Okay, and then to finish off, the Venom Crawler and the Warpsmith have managed to make it through the ruins and are now getting ready to vivisect that particular Imperial Guard squad. Now, starting my combat phase, we're going to start off with the Terminators smashing into the Lehman Russ tank. So 3 of them are equipped with Power Fists, so I'm going to start off with those. So each of them swinging a mighty 3 times to try and reduce this thing into a smoking pile of ruin. So we've got 3, 6...
Destroy! Destroy!
My math, really bad. Well, that's not part of my day job. So they're hitting on 3s. Ugh, not ideal. Most of the shots go wild, but a few of them manage to find their mark. 2 of them doing enough damage to punch into the machine. -3 to his armor, so let's see if we manage to actually take this thing down.
Uh-oh, both go through.
Both go through, and each of these do D3 wounds to the Lehman Russ.
Ooh!
5 wounds in total. Is that enough to take out the machine? I think it might be.
Having taken 7 wounds already, that will bring the total number of wounds taken to 12, and indeed destroy Lucky 211. May have to think about a rename for this particular tank. And before my Lehman Russ is destroyed and removed from the battlefield, I will of course use the Cult of Sacrifice trait to allow me to fire off one shot as if I had one wound remaining. And I'm going to try once again to pepper off a shot at that Venom Crawler. So one shot hitting on 6s, and unfortunately it does not hit, which means the tank dies ingloriously.
Okay, so now the Venom Crawler readies itself to butcher the squad of Imperial Guardsmen. So it has its tendrils and its eviscerating claws. So I'm going to start off by firing off its eviscerating claws. So it gets 4 attacks with these, hitting on 4s. Ooh, unfortunately only one of them manages to hit. But it does wound on a 2, and of course managed to roll a 1. So the Guardsmen managed to dodge out of the way of the Venom Crawler's claws. But let's see, can they avoid its whipping tendrils? So both of those do manage to hit, and neither of them manage to wound. The Guardsmen stand strong, and absolutely no damage is done by the Venom Crawler. You are going straight into the wall at the end of the game. We're going to have to see if the Warpsmith can do better than his little machine. So he's going to start laying about himself with his massive power axe. So he makes 4 attacks with that, all of which actually manage to hit the Guardsman squad. And these are going to manage to decapitate a few on 3s. Only manages to take 1 out, unfortunately. And then his whipping tendrils also lash out, 2 of them managing to find their mark, and 1 of them managing to wound. So there is a save for a Guardsman to make before he's strangled Doc Ock style.
And he's fine. So the 4 Guardsmen remaining in the squad will all throw their shovels at the Warpsmith, and let's see if I can do any damage. So I actually managed to hit 3 times. Cause 1 wound on the Warpsmith. He will get his 2-up save from his horrible armor, which he passes with ease, of course. So end of the phase, I'm going to have to take some morale checks. So for the squad of Kriegsmen there, they lost 5 guys and 2, so they actually managed to pass their morale check, of course. Never underestimate the Krieg. For the squad of engineers that lost 2, they're still fine as well. So all tests passed. Okay, start of my turn 3, nothing to do in the command phase, so once again we're on to the movement phase. My engineers who have shown up with their beautiful shotguns are going to march towards that squad of Chaos Space Marines, and they're going to unleash hell with grenades, a lot more grenades than you think, so that's going to be really cool to see. The rest of the infantry in the center of the table is going to try and reorientate themselves to maybe get some decent firepower onto the Chaos Terminators, which have shown up in the midst of them, which is quite terrifying. And the unfortunate 4 Guardsmen will probably get eaten by a Warpsmith and a Venom Crawler. At the end of the turn, there will of course be the reinforcement phase, and I will bring into play the coolest unit that exists in Warhammer 40k, so stick around to see that. And the unit that I mentioned, of course, was the notorious, infamous Death Riders. So a full squad of 10 Death Riders has shown up on his side of the board, ready to charge into the midst of battle and cause some serious damage to the Chaos Lines. I am looking forward to this one. So, starting off my shooting phase with the kill box. So the Terminators managed to strike into the depths of my lines, killing my tank. But the Guardsmen have now closed up around him in a pincer formation, and they're going to rapid fire in at the Atramentar and see if they can tear any of these Terminator down. God, I hope they tear some of them down. Wish you luck. 52 lasgun shots for 1 wound on Terminators. Time to move on to the Earthshakers. So Earthshaker 1 is going to hit its normal target and try and do some more damage on the Havocs.
Fire in solution plotted.
So rolling 2 dice to determine number of shots. Ooh. So let me just see if that 1 shot hits. It does. It does indeed wound, and that will leave a save up for the Havoc, which he
manages to pass us. Yeah. Thanks to the cover, he actually passes it.
Not ideal. The other basilisk is going to try and clear off the remaining 2 members of the chosen squad who are the closest chaos forces to the objective, and hopefully help put that in a safer position for me. So once again, number of shots.
Where are those damn tech priests?
Cut. Now this I've been looking forward to. So my combat engineers are about to throw a gas bomb at the unit of Chaos Space Marines coming in. A gas bomb is a pretty gnarly thing. If you know its stat line, it's terrifying. But I'm also going to spend a command point to use the Grenadier strategy, which means all 8 of my remaining engineers are going to gas bomb that unit of Chaos Space Marines. They are not going to have a good time. So we're going to start with number of shots, which is D6 shots apiece. So that's 5, 11, and then because of the blast special rule, the rest of these count as 3. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 16, 17, 18, 24, 29 shots. I'll take it. So I've only got 20 Krieg dice. I'm going to roll these 20 dice, and then I'll need to roll an additional 9 afterwards. So these are Bliss Skill 3, so 3's to hit. So take away the ones that miss. Is that 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 have hit so far. So 13, and then we'll try that additional 9. 3, 6, 7, 8, 9. 3s. So that's 13, 14, 15, 16, 18 hits. And unfortunately, these, for the Chaos Space Marines, that is, they wound on 2+. So I'll take these away. Quite a few ones in there, which is a bit disappointing, but I still think they're probably going to do a pretty good job, seeing as how that the 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 11 wounds do -2 to his armor save. So good luck with that.
Do what you do best, men!
Right, so time for my 11-5 up saves to keep these guys in the fight. Ooh.
Squad broken!
So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the Space Marines collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. Delightful.
So now it's time for the charge phase, something I've been looking forward to, because like my Grenadiers, or sorry, like my Engineers, my Death Riders have never seen a battlefield before, so I'm super looking forward to hopefully them making the charge and doing some real damage. So let's roll the dice and see what happens. 9-inch charge. Oh!
Into the
That's
breach!
what we like to see, baby. Death Riders are going to hit hard. And the other charge that I'm also really excited to see what happens, and that is the Hades Breaching Drill, blending the last 3 Chaos Space Marines in that squad. Let's see if you can make the charge. With a 5, I believe that's probably enough. And it is.
Night Lord Paste.
Although I'm more excited to see what the Death Riders do, I have to see whether the drill does its job or not. So I'm going to start with the Hades Breaching Drill, smashing into the 3 remaining Chaos Space Marines in that squad. So first of all, number of attacks, it's D3 plus 3. So let's see how many we get. 2 plus 3, so we get 5 attacks for 5, and it requires 4s to hit. So wish me luck. I don't think you were wishing hard enough, guys. So 2 hits. Now, on to the strength. It's times 2 strength, so it's strength 12. So that will be 2s to hurt you. That'll do -4, 3 damage.
Cool, so let me just, nope.
Now it's time for the Death Riders to see if they could do any damage to that Chaos Space Marine squad. I've been looking forward to this. So they have 21 attacks on the charge with their lances. This is 20 dice, so I'm just going to reroll one of the ones that missed, which gets a hit, so I'll take that. So I'm going to take away the 1s, 2s, and 3s. I will consider that to be an extremely successful roll to hit. And then at strength 5 on the charge, we're going to require 3s. For the Chaos Space
This is it, men! The moment of glory!
Ooh, that's really good. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8. That is 10 wounds on the squad of Chaos Space Marines with a -3 save and 2 damage. So hopefully that should clear off the remaining of that squad.
Okay, so 10 6-up saves to keep this squad in the game and in the fight. So unfortunately, I've managed to fail 7 of those. And wouldn't you know it, there's only 7 men remaining in that squad. So the Death Riders charge is uninterrupted and they smash straight through the Chaos Space Marines.
No! This cannot be!
Okay, so over here we're going to go on to the Venom Crawler, now making its second attempt to make mincemeat of that squad. So it's 4 claws lashing out. This time it actually manages to do something with them.
Oh no.
All the attacks hit. And all of them manage to wound. So 4 guardsmen. Are there any more left?
No, that's the end of the squad.
What do we do?
Oh, but that means the Warpsmith has nothing to do except point and laugh viciously. And then of course we'll finish off with the champion of the other squad, maybe unwisely deciding to swing his power maul at the pointy end of the Hades drill. So he gets 3 attacks with his weapon. Never mind, so back over to Andy.
This poor, unfortunate Chaos Space Marine, of course, must take a morale test at the end of the phase. Let's see if he manages to pass. No.
The battle is lost!
Chaos turn 3. What are the Night Lords thinking?
That we should have brought more dudes, is kind of the thing we're thinking. Or maybe attacked at night, it's a bit too bright out here. So I think at this stage, the Chaos Forces have to make one last ditch attempt to really take control of this battlefield. So the Chaos Chosen, the last remaining champion, is going to charge forward to the objective and start planting the explosives required to take down this symbol of Imperial iconography. The Warpsmith is going to charge out of the ruins and take on the commander, Severina Rain. And the Venom Crawler is going to scuttle its way around and try and start feasting on some lovely, lovely basilisks. It's then going to be down to the Terminators to try and hold the center and either tie up or wipe out as many of the Imperial Guardsmen as they can. And the last 3 remaining Havocs are going to have to hopefully try and take out some of the Death Riders. So it's down to the last dice rolls of the game at this stage. It's a bit tight here, so let's see what happens. Okay, so movement phase is done, so the Terminators have fanned out into a firing line. So they're going to start rapid firing their combi bolters into the 2 squads in front of them. So we're going to start off with the autocannon just to make things nice and easy, and they're going to fire off a couple of rounds into the squad of guardsmen in front of us. So 2 of the shots do manage to hit, and both of them manage to do wounds, pulping 2 of the guardsmen straight off the bat. It's quickly followed up by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 shots from the bolters. And because they are within half range, and because they are Chaos Space Marines, they're going to be able to double those number of shots, so they're going to start churning out quite a number of dice.
Please stop.
So, again, let's see what kind of damage we can do with these bolt guns. If I could roll dice, it would also help. So, unfortunately, out of that salvo, I've only managed to hit with 2, 4, 6, 8 of those shots. Let's see if we can take down a few of these guardsmen with them. I'm guessing the Chaos aren't really feeling the battle today. Only 3 wounds.
And the glorious Krieg, do they care? Yes, they do. Yeah. So 3 more Krieg get blown to pieces, including the Flamer removed from that squad.
So now the Havocs open up with 2 remaining lascannon shots into the Death Riders, both of which of course miss. And the champion for the first time gets actually rapid fire his plasma gun. So 2 shots. Okay, so the last bit of shooting I have is the Venom Crawler. So it is going to start firing off its Excruciator cannons into the bank of 2 Earthshaker cannons. So, firing D3 shots apiece. Yeah, I think I definitely need new dice at this stage. But both managed to hit, and let's see if they manage to do some damage, hitting on 3s, or wounding on 3s rather. So 1 wound, -2 to the armor save of the Basilisk.
So I'll get a 6-up save, which I fail.
And it does D3 damage. So it takes 2 wounds off the carriage.
Taking 1 of the gun carriages down to 5 wounds.
I'll take it. So, in the midst of the charge phase, the Terminators has successfully managed to tie up 2 of the Imperial Guard squad. The Venom Crawler is getting ready to dine on the side of the Basilisk emplacement. And now it's down to see if the 'Warpsmith' can make the charge and take the head of the enemy commander. So let's see if he makes it in. which he does. He manages an 8-inch charge.
Severine Rain, not one to stand by and let that happen, is of course now going to open fire with her stand and shoot, which she manages to of course hit. Can she wound? No, unfortunately not. Dings off the helmet of the Warpsmith.
And the Warpsmith charges in for the one-on-one fight between the two commanders. Okay, so starting off in the combat phase with the Venom Crawler. So it's first going to open up with its 4 claw attacks. So 2 of them manage to find the mark. And rolling to wound on the machine, both of them manage to do some damage. They do crack through, -3 to the armor save.
Means I will get no save for that Earthshaker replacement.
Then rolling to see what damage it does, D3 apiece for that. Another 3 wounds is taken off the emplacement.
So it goes from 5 to 2 remaining. Not ideal.
Let's see if we can finish it off now with the tendrils wrapping around the barrel and see if we can't split it in 2. Both manage to find the mark. Unfortunately, one of them, a strength of 7 against the toughness of 7, is not going to be enough to crack through the Earthshaker emplacement.
Actually, toughness 6, so
It's
it
only
does in
toughness 6.
fact wound. So what's the minus of that one?
-1 to its armor save.
So 5 up save. Failed.
And 2 damage from the tendril.
Means that this Earthshaker emplacement is destroyed and out of the game.
Okay, so now moving on to the Atramentor and see if they're a little bit better in combat than they are at shooting. So these 2 gentlemen here are going to start swinging into the guardsmen with their power fists. Unfortunately, only 2 of them managed to find... Oh, no, sorry. 3 of them managed to find the mark. And then rolling to wound. 2s is enough to pulp 3 more guardsmen. The remaining Terminators are then going to swing into the other squad. So we have another power fist taking a massive big clubbing swing. 2 hits, but with the run of a 6 counts as an additional hit. So we have actually got 3. And 3 more dead guardsmen. The power sword wielding sergeant swings out, hitting with all 3 of his attacks, showing the boys how it's done, and does in fact manage to wound 2 more
Unstoppable!
of the Space Marine. That Space Marines, 2 more of the guardsmen. And then the last one left is the Wolverine looking fellow with the pair of lightning claws. Swinging out with both of them, manages to hit with 2. And let's see, does he put the last 2 out of their misery? Only manages to wound 1 of them, but he does get to reroll to wound because of his lightning claws. 2 more guardsmen, butchered to a man.
This is why you do not let squads of Terminators into your lines of infantry. It ends like this.
Of course, last but not least, then comes down to the titanic clash between the 2 commanders, Severine Rain and the evil Warpsmith of the Night Lords, squaring off against each other.
Keep trying, little one.
Okay, so starting off, the Warpsmith is going to take a big 2-handed grip on his power axe and take a swing for the Commissar's head. Manages to hit twice, 3 times in fact. Let's see if he manages to do any damage to her. Does in fact wound Severine Rain 3 times.
Let's see if she can save herself. She manages to pass 1 and fail 2. So she's now taken 2 wounds. So let's see if the tendrils are going to finish her off or are the heroes going to stand.
The tendrils, she batters them away with deft movements from her rapier.
Fantastic. So Severine Rain draws her glorious saber Evanfall and takes a swing at the Warpsmith. Let's see what she can do. So she managed to hit with all of her attacks to wound. She manages to wound twice. I will take that happily.
Okay, the Warpsmith had already taken a wound earlier on in the battle, so let's see if he managed to save these 2. Another one goes through. The Warpsmith has only 2 wounds remaining.
So, start of turn 4 now, and I think we're moving into the end game. I've had a fantastic turn 3. My Death Riders came in and did an absolutely stellar job of wiping out a squad of Chaos Space Marines. And also the engineers over there with their gas bombs did the same thing, which really lightened the amount of Chaos Marines on the field. The Terminators now are a serious threat in my back line, so I'm going to hopefully get the Death Riders across the table now and plow into them from behind and hopefully do some serious damage. Severine Rain is in a duel for her life with the Warpsmith, so hopefully that turns out well. We really need her to be alive at the end of the battlefield to claim any sort of real victory. So let's get into it. So I have the end of my movement phase. I'm pretty happy with the positioning of most of my forces. I do think that we should be able to make the charge in against the Terminators. So now it's time to move on to my shooting phase, which at the moment is actually lacking quite severely. I've got one squad of operational guardsmen left in the center of the board. They're going to open fire on that last remaining chosen holding the objective. So wish me luck in doing any damage with him. So I'm going to open up with the 10 shots. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Need 4 is to hit. I'll take that. 9 hits. Obviously these guys have been slacking all game long on there. They don't want to go back without a skull trophy. Let's see if they can do any wounds. Holy moly, 4 wounds on the last remaining chosen holding the objective. I'm feeling good as to these guys doing something good. Oh! The last chosen gets torn to pieces by a precise volley of lasgun. Now the last remaining piece of firepower that may fire in this entire battle is the second Earthshaker cannon. These brave guardsmen know full well that they will be charged by a venom crawler any moment now and be absolutely butchered. But they are guardsmen of the God Emperor of Mankind, and they know that their sacrifice will not be in vain, so they continue to man their gun and fire off one last volley at the Havocs, knowing full well it will be the last thing they ever do. So number of shots with the Earthshaker, they get 5 glorious shots, requiring 4 to hit Havocs, 3 hits, and 3s to wound. Not going down without a fight, they cause 2 wounds on the Havocs. And tear through of them from the ramparts, bringing that squad's effectiveness down.
Not ideal at all.
Onto the Death Riders trying to bring down the Atramentar Terminators and win this battle. Can they make the charge? Of course they do. I'm going to move these guys up and then we'll get on to rolling some dice.
What a glorious day to die!
Time for the Hunting Lances to make their mark and impact the Chaos Terminators. Got 21 attacks and I am hopeful to bring down all of the Atramentar with this round of attacks. Wish me luck. So it's going to be 4s to hit. As soon as I ask for luck, luck has fled me. So this is what we're at the moment. Still a decent number of hits, requiring 3s to hurt the Terminators, which has left me with 7 wounds, doing -3 armor and doing 2 damage apiece. So every failed save here will bring a Terminator crashing down to his death.
Okay, time to beseech the Dark Gods to keep my Terminators alive.
Even a warped mind can see the odds stacked against it.
Oh, unfortunately not. 1 pass, but 6 failed. Means that the Terminators fall in a riotous stamp of hooves and spears and explosions.
They are too strong!
Beautiful.
Okay, so it falls to this, the last throw of the dice. Can the Warpsmith take the head of the commander of the Imperial forces? Can he redeem himself in the eyes of Abaddon? Let's find out. So he's going to swing with his axe, this time only striking with 3 attacks. Only one of them manages to find their mark. And is batted aside at the last moment by the blade of Severina Rain. It's down to the tendrils. Can they grasp her? 2 of them manage to find their mark. But only one of them manages to wound her. He's not going to be able to slay her this round.
Can her beautiful refractor field keep her alive? The refractor field failed, so she has gone down to 2 wounds. Time for Severina Rain to return the favor, drawing her saber and trying to take the head off the snake. 2 hits with her glorious sword. We have rolled 2 wounds with the sword as well, which means that the Chaos Warpsmith is in deep trouble.
Okay, comes down to this. Can we keep him alive?
This is their brave leader.
And with the coup de grace that ends the battle, Severina Rain claims the head of the Warpsmith, secures MH365 for the moment, and wins the day. Okay guys, so that brings the first battle report on the channel to a close. It was an absolutely fantastic experience. I hope you guys did in fact enjoy the battle report that we just had on for you. If you did, make sure that you give the video a like. If you have any questions about anything you did, if you noticed anything that we did wrong, drop it in the comments below. I will get back to each and every one of you guys. And if you really like what you see and want to see more battle reports moving forward, make sure you do subscribe to the channel. I just want to once again thank Deep Cut Studios for the map that we played on today, and Urban Mats for the scenery that we played today. I also want to thank my opponent, The Golden Chin, which is of course Dave. Check him out on all of his socials, which will be linked below. Thank you very much, buddy, for showing up at the game.
Thanks for having me.
Dave will be an absolute regular here on the channel for lots of battle reports. I've even got some other ideas for videos involving him that I haven't even told him yet, so that should be a lot of fun.
Wait, what?
Yeah, we'll get to that, don't worry. Thank you guys very much. Obviously, the battle has gone really well. The story we told, and we're quite pleased with the result, and it will tie into what happens with the MH365 campaign moving forward, and we have a lot more stories to tell.
A trailer of which you will see right now.
Enjoy, guys. See you guys in the next video.